I'm going to show you how to take something you love, turn it into some money. How's that? Money isn't hard to make. Everything in life starts with one idea. You're not a man, you're not a woman, you're a human being. And if you put your mind to it, you can do anything.
She's the queen of everything that matters, rising high while the doubters scatter. With her name in the wind, sharp as daggers, Diane's the queen of everything that matters.
Hi, my name's Dianne Linderman, and this is my podcast called Everything That Matters, because I talk about only things that matter. And every day I wake up, I'm very happy to be alive. And I thank God every day that I'm able to do the things I love. But more than anything, I actually love showing other people and teaching and inspiring other people how to do things that are fascinating. Now, I know that everybody is busy working and trying to make a living in life. And the truth is that you can make a living or you can love making a living. And I love making a living. And I love making a living at things that I do every single day. And it may not seem like a lot, but it's amazing. If you learn to do things that are right in life, like in the right way, I have found that the reason why most businesses fail in life is because of the people they hire. Because a business is only as good as the people that are representing them out front. For instance, have you ever gone to a restaurant you can't wait to go to, and the waitresses are rude and they slop the food in front of your face, and you judge the whole place based upon how that waitress treated you? Get rid of those people. Stop being so nice. I'm going to teach you how to be fiercely honest and a good manager. Because if you can't manage your business, you can't manage your life. You can't manage your money, you can't manage your life. And my podcast is going to be on as much as I can do them, because I do still work and travel all over the country. And I'm going to show you all the cool stuff that we do. And one of the things that I am actually sitting in right now is a home that my husband redesigned and rebuilt, and I'm interior decorator, and so I get to decorate. And guess what? Everything I have in here, and we're going to show you pictures, is from a thrift store or a yard sale, because that's the way I love to make it happen. It is so much fun. And I love the search. I love the hunt. A lot of people, when you see those videos nowadays, they're walking through and I always think, oh my gosh, what can I do with that? Well, you can learn from everybody. But I have found that little paint, little bit of reupholstering, and I'm sitting in a chair that I found was worth $1,100 just for one chair. Of course, I paid $20 for it at a thrift store. And I got a couch over there that was a $1,200 couch, and I paid $50 for it, and I bought a new cover. I mean, I could show you all the secrets. And that's what I love to do. I want to show you how easy it is to really just reinvent yourself. And every person on this earth can reinvent themselves. I have not had a lot of education in my life. I actually chose to drop out of school when I was 16 years old. You want to know why? Because when I was 16, I wanted to start my own business. And guess what I did? I opened a little store in Ventura, California, where I used to take my little scooter to every day. And I was a little bit of a surfer hippie. And I made sterling silver jewelry. Why would I be interested in sterling silver jewelry at the age of 16? Because I knew I could sell it. I'm an entrepreneur, and I also love silver. I love sterling silver. I like gold too, but I love silver. And so what I did was I took a class at the college, and they allowed me to come even though I was 16, 17, I might add, turned 17. And I learned how to make little bands. I started with bands, like little round, the bands that you just like, little sterling silver bands. And before I quit school, I actually made like 20 or 30 of them. I took them to school and I sold them to all my friends. And I made like $9 on each one because they only cost me $1, and I sold them for 10. And I'm like, wow, I could really do well with this. And so what I did was I started making jewelry, and I started getting really good at it. And I started going with my 10-year-old brother at the time to crafts fairs and things like that. And we made, he, at 9 years old, made $900 in one day. And I thought, we are in the right business. But let me tell you something, people. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Yes, some make more sense than others. But it doesn't really matter what business you're in. If you love what you do and you can get good at it and you have presentation, you learn to market, all these awesome things that you get to learn because of one little idea. Because my motto is everything in life starts with one idea. And so in my podcast, I'm going to show you all kinds of stories and tell you stories. But also, for instance, I love what's happening to our country. Yes, I'm a conservative mom, and I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of politics, but I love Donald Trump, and I am so happy he's in. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of people be pissed at me for that one, but really, do I care? No, and I don't care. And the thing is, you got to learn not to care what people think. I always ask myself, how is it that people are so easily swayed to make stupid decisions in life? For instance, taking the, right? How is it that people, how did they get them to take that? What did they say except for to put fear into you to take that, right? How is it that people are so easily brainwashed to believe a lie? Because each and every one of us, I believe, is inherently intuitive, but we've been drowned out. We've been trained to not believe in ourselves. And I remember growing up thinking, I have been very simple. I know that some people think that's a bad word, but I love the word simple, and I love being simple. And when I say simple, I mean I love the simple things of life. I love kids, cooking. I love creating. I love starting a business, and I love being successful. I buy and sell cars. When I was 17, I bought and sold cars. And so whatever I did in life was pretty simple. But when people look at you and say, you're simple, and I'm like, yeah, I am. Thank you. Here's the thing. When you do things in a simple way and you're not trying to be better than everybody, but just be good for what you believe you're. In other words, it is about quality, it is about presentation, but most of all, it's about your love that you put into things. I know it sounds all corny, right? I am as corny as you can be. I am the queen of corn. That's what my brothers think. But the truth is that we've been trained in society through school. I mean, school is where it all starts. Think about it. Your kid's 5 years old, you take them to kindergarten. Your kid was a wild child before that, right? My kids were anyway, and they still are. And my kids are 27 and 30. I started really late in life. My first kid I had at 40, and the second one was 41. And so my kids, I've had the benefit of just enjoying my kids all my life, all their lives, I should say. And when I realized what school was doing to them, even though my husband and I actually helped start that school, it was a private school, and they wanted to make it so academic. And I kept thinking to myself, why do we really need more than reading, writing, and math if we're not going to be doctors or lawyers or, where you need those things, right? Because some kids are just naturally good at them. But why can't they teach themselves? So I actually was afraid of homeschooling because I feel so stupid, because I'm a high school dropout. And I actually learned everything I needed to know by the time I was third grade. So I took my daughter out of school at third grade, the very school that we started. And my son, who is sort of a genius, and I don't hope he doesn't watch this because I don't want him to think I think that, but it was too easy for him, the whole school scene. And all he wanted to do was make movies and TV shows. And he's very creative. My daughter's an amazing artist. And I kept thinking to myself, my husband and I would talk to each other about, well, why are we leaving them in school if they're miserable? And so here's my philosophy on that. You may not really give a damn what I think, but you should, because I have some amazing kids, and they're part of our company, but they also are in their own businesses as well. But the cool thing about not believing the lie of education, I know I'm going to look like a complete rebel here, even though I'm not. I do believe that we as a human being are equipped with everything we need. And if you have the right environment for your kids, for instance, don't raise them in an apartment if you can help it. And if you have to raise them in an apartment, make sure they get to go to a park or the beach or outside or grow a plant or have an animal. All that's important. But I used to, when I was on my radio show years ago, I had this lady called me one time, and she's like, here's the problem. My kids get picked on in school. And I'm like, yeah, most kids get picked on in school. I was picked on, although I was a green belt in a few martial arts, being that I had 4 brothers. My dad made sure I learned some martial arts, and I'm still pretty good at it. So she said, my kid's getting picked on. I'm really scared for him. I go, why the hell have you not moved out of that situation? Well, I can't afford it. And I go, everybody can afford it. I don't care if you're literally have not a penny to your name, you can figure it out. And that's the attitude that we all have to have in this life, in this world, is not believe the liars that are constantly telling us you can't do things. And that's what I'm here in my podcast. And I'm going to overcome your doubts because I have no doubt. I literally was raised by a very strong father, and I had 4 tough brothers. And the one thing my dad always did for me is he didn't make me doubt myself. And that's the sin of parents. Sometimes they don't know because somebody's been telling them and teaching them, well, you have to do this and that to be a good parent. Well, first of all, being a good parent is subjective. And the truth is that you've got to figure out what being a good parent really is all about. Being a good parent is patience, strength, love, protection, and belief in your child. It's as simple as that. And your kids will flourish completely on their own. And that's what I found, is that if I just get out of their way, my dad used to say, you need to just give them enough rope so they don't kill themselves, but don't let them know you're holding on to the other side of it. And so my husband and I literally included them in everything we did. Our business, even at a very young age, we traveled all over the country because the kind of business that I'm going to start telling you all the cool things I do. And the business that I started with, because I loved animals more than anything on earth before I had kids, and I love kids, is I started a petting zoo. I'm like, a petting zoo? I call it a petting farm. Yeah, because I loved animals so much. And my dad had 6 acres when we were kids, and I got to have horses and when I was a kid. And it made me who I am today. The responsibility, the beauty of watching little animals be who they're supposed to be. And you're their protector. So it gave me a huge amount of learning about responsibility. And then I realized that very few kids get that ability to be able to go in and sit on the ground in an immaculately clean pen, except very big pen. It's like huge. And let the little baby animals run on their laps, including wallabies and deer. And I had a pet deer used to go in my car with me. I mean, what a life I've had, really, And then the truth is that when I realized that I could actually make a living at it, especially if you do it better than anybody else, which we did for 43 years, we're number one. And I always wondered, why could those guys in those green army tents that had petting zoos when I was a kid, they were toothless and they smoked, and I'm talking about the guys that were running it, and I was scared to go in them when I was a kid. I'm like, that was my thing I wanted to do, is touch animals, be around animals. And so I realized when I was growing up, I kept thinking, one day I'm going to have a place where kids can come and be able to learn about animal husbandry and agriculture and all the things that really run our country, especially agriculture. So everything that you can do for fun and for business has to have a purpose. And that's where a lot of people go wrong starting a business. People look at it, sometimes vanity businesses, I call them, money-making schemes. Yeah, those all work, and do them if you need to. But wouldn't it be more fulfilling? And I am completely fulfilled, I have to tell you. Every day I wake up, I'm like, I can't even believe God gave me all of this. And he did, you know? And so I realized that if I could get troubled kids involved with animals. So my husband and I, we bought this old wildlife park in Cave Junction, Oregon, and we fixed it up, and the people that were running it before that owned it had probably about 80% too many animals. It was lions, tigers, bears, cougars, monkeys, leopards. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. But the neat thing about that was, boy, did I learn a lot. I learned about monkeys and we had 230 fallow deer that we had to sell off because you only really need about 10, not 230. There was a big giant elk named Elkie. There was mountain lions, wolves, and these people were dying, and they heard about my husband and I and our ranch that we had, which I'm going to tell you the whole story. In fact, I have a book coming out. You'll be able to read it called Everything That Matters. And that's the name of my show, by the way. And yeah, and I joke that I'm the queen of everything that matters. And it's only the things that matter to me. So hopefully they matter to you too. But the story goes like this because I realize that it doesn't really matter what you do. I'm trying to inspire you to understand one little thing today. This is what my goal is for today. Is that if I could say to you, imagine if you love cars, and my husband is a car guy. He builds vintage cars and hot rods and all kinds of cool stuff. And he takes something he pulled out of a creek. I mean, I'm talking 1940s, 50s, right? 30s. Pulls it up and goes, look what I got. I'm like, oh boy. But he turned that piece of rust into a lot of money. And he made me a believer because even more am I inspired to realize that I can make money doing anything. Money isn't hard to make. Your attitude is a good attitude is hard to come by. And that is what most people have a problem with that I have met in my life. If you could have a little vision, because you know in the Bible it says, where there is no vision, the people will perish. Now I understand what that means. You have to have a little vision, a tiny idea. Start tiny. I was watching the internet the other day and I saw a girl that had a roadside cookie stand. And it started out, she just put fresh cookies out in a box. People would come by, put their money in. That's a flourishing business now. See, when you start doing something and you got love and you love what you're doing, it will grow so fast. And if it doesn't, tweak it, figure it out, find out what's missing, learn about marketing, learn about social media. I'm an old lady and I am learning about social media. And I got a lot of young people around me, which I'm very fortunate to have. But it's just so beautiful. I mean, I don't know many people that love to watch people succeed in life. I'm one of those people because I've met so many people that want you to fail. And if you believe in that, you're believing into this again, right? Everything in life is about finding out who you are. And I'm hoping that with my podcast here, and one day I'm going to take calls. We'll have a live show with calls, and we'll be able to chat with people that I used to take calls for 15 years on my radio show. It was great because I get to communicate with people that really do have some amazing questions. And I've counseled people for the last 45 years, and I really believe that what is really the problem with most people is that they have so much trauma and anger. And it's a hard thing to let go, isn't it? Anger. So if you learn to let go of that anger, just forgive people. Forgive people for Father. They know what they do. I'm not a preacher. In fact, I've only read little bits of the Bible. I just love it so much that it's like fudge. You just read a little bit at a time. But I work with all these troubled teenagers, and they came to me when they were 17, 18 years old. And what did we do? How did we help those kids? And now 35 years later, they're still with us in the form of partners. Because Dave and I, my husband and I, we always share the things that in other words, they were there from a lot of them from the beginning. And, even though they had a lot of traumas, I don't know, it didn't bother me that they had so many traumas. And actually working with animals and being creative and finding that responsible part of yourself. For instance, how many people do you know would put a 35-foot horse trailer behind a brand new truck and send a 18-year-old to drive it down the street? That was their lesson. We didn't teach them how to drive a trailer. They had to go out, and if they were going to crash, they were going to crash. Yeah, we gave them a few pointers. But my husband does that all the time. He believes in these kids, and he goes, go ahead, take it out. You can do it. And before I know it, here they come. Back to the original start. They drove it for 25 minutes. And what happened to them? It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. They were so excited that they actually completed that without killing themselves. And I was too. But what was even more amazing is it opened them up to the fact that somebody trusted them. They learned to believe in themselves, and they became conscious of danger and how to become thoughtful. Those are the 3 things that it takes to be a success at anything in life. That's true. So my kids and my husband are always like, Diane, you should just do another podcast, and people need to hear all your stories, and I've got a million of them, trust me, and I'm a good storyteller because I remember a lot of my stories. Sometimes I've embellished a little bit. For instance, I'm sitting here right next to my brand new cookbook, and I just rewrote it. This is my older one, but I've got 5 cookbooks, which I didn't bring with me to show you today. Just down here at the coast of Texas, where I absolutely love it because I was raised on the coast of Ventura, California. And to me, this is beautiful heaven, but my main life is on a ranch, which you'll see me doing these podcasts everywhere. And I have a really awesome studio that my husband's building for me right now. It's just really neat. And you know what? I like to talk about my husband for a minute because he is a jack of all trades, and I've never met anybody in my life that can do all the things that my husband David can do, because this guy, it doesn't matter. He talk about fearless. I don't care what it is. He'll figure it out. He'll fix it. He'll build it. He built us a log home. First of all, when I first met my husband David, and I'll tell you the story because it's adorable. I used to say that I was at the Temple of the Virgins at this ranch working with troubled teenagers when I was like 21 years old, and a big, giant, beautiful 375-acre ranch, which is where I felt the most at home. And I was helping run this program, and my husband walked in on my life, and he wasn't my husband for 8 years, but yeah, I'm not one to give myself away that easy, especially a guy that handsome. I always say, if they're that handsome, don't trust them, because he was handsome. He looked like a movie star. I'm like, why does he like me? Chunky, funky, crazy, curly-haired. But what he loved about me and what I loved about him was that he always wanted a girl or a woman that he could work with and build together and create. Well, I got a good one because this guy is a jack of all trades. So he built a sawmill. And in Oregon, you've got logs, trees everywhere. And so this guy went out and cut all the trees down. He built this amazing log cabin, which I will show you a picture of eventually. And you probably are like, you're crazy for moving from there. Yeah, but when you're compelled to come to Texas, because I was born here, I don't know how to stop it. I really don't. So, my husband was like, I don't want to go. I built this beautiful log home. But you know what? He loves it more than I do now. I love Texas. Texas to me is the land of the free, and I don't want to talk anybody into coming here because it is pro-business and people here are amazing. But anyway, he built this beautiful log home. It ended up in Log Home Living magazine. And you talk about fearless. The guy designed it, never built a cabin before. Yes, he had some knowledge of building. He never built a house before. But this amazing, gorgeous log home, 2,700 square foot log chalet on a 5-acre parcel that I had bought because I buy property before I met him. And then he ended up being my partner on it. And it was beautiful. And so we finally got married after 8 years. Long story short, it's all in my book, but we ended up running the ranch. My dad hired him as a foreman and he worked with those kids. He taught everything: welding, plumbing, electrical. He was an electrician by trade. And I taught him how to cook and make cheese and butter. I know we sound like hippies, right? Kind of like hippies. But it was so much fun. I'm telling you, to be able to make all that stuff, I thought I was Noah's daughter, right? That's what it felt like for me. So it was an amazing experience. And I'm sure we're going to have pictures probably running behind this podcast, which I'm now filming while I'm down at my coast house. And I'm going to show you all kinds of cool things in the coming podcasts. And I'm going to teach you how to cook too. Farm to table recipes, everything from scratch. My cookbooks are all about simplicity again. And I do cooking shows all over the country. And I do all kinds of interesting things in the fair and rodeo industry, which I will be sharing with you in the future. So you'll have to go to my website, diannelinderman.com, and make sure you subscribe. I'm supposed to say this: subscribe, comment, subscribe, like, and follow me, because I plan on sticking around for a while and making this pretty big, because I feel like if I could inspire just one of you out there to believe in yourself, to do something that you love. By the way, we have a 100-acre ranch in Texas that we have created, and I've done amazing retreats before with people, and you would love to come out and spend time with my group, and it will be sort of a homesteading thing where you can learn how to do anything. I mean, we will have you out there with the cows, the sheep, the goats, making cheese, you can actually learn how to spin wool. I'm going to show you, talk about a cooking show. How about a private one? I'll show you how to make things that you're going to go, oh my God. And by the way, you're going to find out more about me, but I had a restaurant that was super successful. And it's what we did during COVID, because in our business, the fairs and festivals and the event industry and rodeos had shut down. And that's where all of our income, and I was feeding 20 families. We were feeding 20 families. And they were all making a living, and now we can't make a living anymore. So what did we do? We opened a restaurant called Diane's Ranch Diner. And it became a huge hit. And the reason why is because it was on a deck that was outdoors, so people could go somewhere. We had animals everywhere. We ended up starting our own fairgrounds. Yes, we took all of our attractions that we put in the fairs and event industry, the fairs and the event industry, and we created a fairgrounds, and it was absolutely amazing. It was a blast. Petting farms, pony rides. We did something called Adventureland. We did something called Cowboy Boot Camp. We did shows. You see, people, trying to tell you this: whatever you love in life, be a creator. I think we were all born to be creators. And I think we were born to be like our creator. And I think what he expects us to do is use our amazing time while we're on this earth, not waste it. And never stop your day jobs, people. Because if you want to make a living in your own business, and I am the queen of entrepreneurship, and I don't have to do things that make me millions and millions of dollars, although you can't stop it if it's going to happen. You just do things because you love it. And that's where I see a lot of people go wrong, by the way, is they want to get rich. I don't want to get rich. I don't care about being rich. I want to be rich enough that I can enjoy my life and enjoy the things I do. But believe me, if I was a multi-millionaire, I would still go to every thrift store, every garage sale. There is no place that if it has a sign that I'm not going to stop, because to me, that's part of the fun. I don't want to go out and buy brand new things. And I am going to have an affiliate program, because there are some really good deals and beautiful things for decorating that people aren't even aware of. People are like, where did you get that? Well, if I hadn't got it from a thrift store that I reupholstered or painted it, and sometimes you don't, then I probably got it off Amazon or other awesome people that develop amazing things. So I have a lot of things, and it gets all confusing sometimes because I have so many things I want to share with you. That's why this has got to be a podcast that's ongoing. And I was just talking about my restaurant and my cooking shows and things. So we have it all. And you can just Google my name, Dianne Linderman, Dianne, Linderman. Go to my website, diannelinderman.com, or go to many other websites that I have. greatamericanpettingzoo.com. And I also do a thing with kids where I teach them entrepreneurship. And I have something called Innovative Kids of America. See, I just take what I love and create a business around it. And if I can share it with other people in the industry that I'm in, which I love the fair industry, by the way, people, I say if you're going to be an entrepreneur, find out about the fair and event industry. It is the best way to start a business or test something or find out if you really got something going there, right? And believe me, I could start 20 other businesses in a week, and my husband keeps me from it. Thank God. But being a jewelry maker that I am, I mean, I could just sit here all day and rattle off all the things I want to do and what I have done. And I will, little bits at a time, with a lot of philosophy thrown in the middle of all this. And I just hope you join me. And make sure you subscribe, like, and follow, because I'm going to be doing podcasts at weird times. And until I get established at a time that I'm going to be on for 2 or 3 times a week or whatever it is, we're going to do that. We're going to make, wherever I am, I'm going to create a podcast and I'm going to send it out there. And make sure you also, I didn't tell you about this part, we're going to make a series called, it's called American Pioneers, because I believe that we are now in the new world of pioneering. We have to become pioneers all over again. And we don't have to like go out and make everything from scratch, although that's not a bad idea to learn. But we do all need to learn how to be independent and learn how to live off the land, how to make cheese and how to make butter. I mean, all this stuff is so ridiculously simple. But my son is an amazing movie maker and filmmaker, and he's created this show called American Pioneer, and we're getting ready to launch. We already have a teaser out there. You can go to American Pioneer on YouTube, check it out, and subscribe on there too, because I think this is going to be really fun, because it's going to be the reality of the things that I talk about on my podcast. It's going to be people learning. It's going to be interesting other people other than just our business and our company of 20-something people that have, and their kids, you know, the young people, the troubled teenagers. So the truth is, look forward to all of it. And thank you for listening. My name is Dianne Linderman. Make sure you subscribe, like, and follow. I got a whole bunch where this came from. Thank you very much.
She's the